Welcome to the Human Design Ray Festival 2025.
And at some point, around mid 2020, I experienced a very, very, I guess, strong, bad, how do you say it, experience of trauma. I will not explain here anything about this trauma because this is not the right time to do it, and it's still very, very private. What I can say is that I Well, it took me, it was a shock for me. It became a post-trauma. And what happened is that I was kind of paralyzed for 1.5 year. It was like a state of freezing all the time and anxiety attacks non-stop. And from my luck, I knew because I did a lot of work on myself in many fields, from the work of Byron Katie, from non-duality, and a lot of techniques and emotional techniques that I worked with during those years. And still, I experienced a trauma, and I went immediately into therapy, immediately. And I knew that that's the way because I knew I don't want to keep it in any cell in my body. I don't want it to be anymore. But it was really, really tough time. At some point, at some points, like I really thought about, the thoughts that you don't want to think about doing it to yourself, because it was that tough. And I'm sure if anybody here felt something like that, even close to it, you understand what it is. At that point, it's somewhere after that, also my mom passed away from cancer. So it was kind of like, you can say, double trauma on top of everything. It took me it took me a lot of time to stand on my feet. It took me a lot of time to balance myself. But what happened is that after, I guess, 2 years, a little bit more of therapy, I especially went into in EMDR, if somebody knows here. So it's amazing, really, really amazing therapy. And what I can share with you is not something that you may hear every day, especially in human design field. I can say that after 2 years of therapy, I felt like my trauma is gone. And I'm not saying that it was not gone a little bit. I mean, it's kind of a wave, It's not like something. Um, it's not something that happened like a 1 and 0. It takes time, and then slowly, slowly, you start to get back to yourself. And still, even after I finished the therapy, I felt like it's still, I have this tail of the trauma, like still sitting there. And but after 2 years, I was in shock because what happened is that I felt I'm connected to my true self in ways that I never thought I would ever be connected to, ever. And then it hit me that human design is all that it does. It talks about connecting to your true self through the chart. And it never did it for me the way like 2 years of trauma therapy did. And I'm just saying, I'm just really, really honest because soon you will hear what I'm doing today, and you will understand. But the thing is that what happened to me is like I realized it's something that I was really in shock to understand what trauma is. And one thing you get to know after you heal your trauma is that you understand that 99% of the people have a trauma. And I'm not exaggerating, I'm saying the truth. Most of the people don't know they are sitting on a trauma. And at one point, and actually not a while ago, I went into this website and I saw all the symptoms of post-trauma. It's amazing. Like it's a very, very big list. And then I realized like I understood that I had it before I experienced the trauma. So I was sitting on inside of like I call it the invisible walls of the traumas. That it's like the like two walls, you don't see them, and they take you wherever they want in life, wherever you want, wherever they want. And you cannot do anything about it. But unless you really, really go deep and treat them. And the thing that I saw, it's like I was in my strategy and authority, but I was inside those walls. You get it? So it feels like you think you're free, and but you don't. You're not. It's more like you're still deep in the labyrinth, of the walls that takes you. And human design has the power, to see this labyrinth from above, to see this maze, and they said, okay, this is the entry point and this is the exit point, all right? But it's not its job to take you and help you with the demons inside the labyrinth. It's not going to help you face the demons, and it's not going to help you face the dragons there. It's not going to really help you with this. It's more like will help you not to get stuck in the walls, and then to know, oh, okay, I need to turn there. I need not to fall there. It's like human design. It's like in bowling. Have you ever played bowling with the kids? They have this kind of like fences around. Like you can push a button, and then there are two fences that for I don't know. In Israel, it's like this, so the ball will not fall into to the side, and then anytime you like throw the ball, it's going to hit the pins for children. So human design is like having those fences, on the side. You know where not to fall. But what you face inside this labyrinth, it's like this maze. It's nothing that human design has the potential, even with strategy and authority, to really face it unless you go and work on situations in your life, real situations in your life, that will help you release them. So and until you don't do that, most of the time you will go inside those walls. And the thing is, we're going into this maze, of life already with baggage of demons and dragons inside of us. So, and what things that happened to us in childhood, and for my trauma that I had, in therapy, I went back to childhood also because we cleaned most of the things that happened in the present. And then I saw like, okay, I realized where it comes from, you know? So I'm not saying everybody has the same way of working with trauma. What I'm saying is that human design helped me to understand humanity, really, in a very, very deep way that I really, truly appreciate that. But to say that it helped me gain connected to my true self as a trauma therapy, I don't know. I'm saying it's this is not my experience. But I'm not saying that if I mean, there is a question right now that everybody will ask, maybe, okay, so we don't need to know about human design and just go treat our trauma in a therapist for 2 years and that's over and we are in the true self. Well, I will tell you, yeah, you will be in your true self if you really, really heal your trauma. You will really be in your true self. But the thing is that human design have it has the potential to help you not to fall again, unless you don't do, the work of healing your trauma. Because if you do you're trying to heal your trauma, but you don't really, like, you go to, I don't know, workshops and like a little bit of courses and do some stuff and do body work. But if you don't go in really, really deep with one therapist that you can trust, you can really, really trust and go all the way, then knowing human design will help you not to hit your head in the walls, but it will still be the walls of your trauma, your hidden trauma. Okay, it's not that maybe what is your trauma, but it will be your hidden trauma walls. Hope you're good. You can take a breath like me. All right. And so it took me some time to realize what's happening in my life, and not just in human design field, in many fields in my life, because it was kind of, when I can look at the chart today and I can totally see any person's trauma, any person. Like, I can look at your chart and say, okay, I understand why you have this trauma. Or I can tell you the potential of your trauma if you really. It's very easy to see, right? But the thing is, if I know and knowing the trauma and to heal the trauma, there are two different worlds.
Liav, and can you give us the example of how do you see, for example, on the openness definition of a specific center?
Well, it's you can look at any open center in that case, but what I found is something I never been learned on human design. But what I found is that you look at Pluto and the star that's the star and the Pluto and the gate in Pluto and also the lines, and this is usually the subject of your trauma. And the thing is that you look at it, but it's very general and you need to understand how to see it. And then you look at your Mercury and you realize how the trauma is, when you're in trigger with your trauma, how it's being expressed. But you have to look at the shadow side, not at the light, of course. Okay. So, but again, if you need to combine it with the open centers, of course. All right. And also the sun gate. So sometimes it's connected to it.